This is one of the fundamental principles which underlies the way that I observe life and live my life. And it's a basic idea that's pretty big. It's the idea that this is a friendly universe. And I'll talk more about that. And oftentimes people, when people hear that this is a friendly universe, immediately a red flag goes, wait a second, there's so much difficulty in life. I'm going to address that as well. So we take this premise of this is a friendly universe. And I'm going to add to that the idea that it's always working on my behalf. So let's begin with the basic concept of when we come into existence on planet Earth, when we're a child. This is when we are actually most closely aligned with the nature of the universe, which is always in a state of creation and expansion. And in the universal consciousness, God, if you will, divine intelligence, it's not labeling anything. It's simply just creating. It's not denoting something as good or bad. It's not rewarding or punishing. It's simply vibrating. And the vibration that's coming forth is matching directly the vibration that is coming from each individualized expression of this life force. In this case, I'm referencing you as an individual. So the predominant, this is what's called the law of vibration, or some people like to refer to the law of reciprocity. The predominant thoughts and words that are moving through this energy system known as the body often are directly experienced in kind in the physical representation of life. So what I mean by that is if we're predominantly thinking thoughts and speaking words that are of difficulty and challenge and not enoughness or just the crud of life, that which we are going to experience is going to match that vibration. It's going to match that vibration. Now, on the flip side of that, if we are constantly thinking and speaking words that are looking for the good in life and looking for solutions rather than problems, we'll probably find that as well. And it's not to deny, please understand this, that there is difficulty and darkness that's going on presently, right? But that's also a function of what's called collective consciousness, the overarching energy that's flowing from the human species, if you will. So that is happening real time. And that's brought about by the individuals that are having those kind of thoughts and words, their conversations. They are representing that energy field. So it's simply just matching vibration at any and all times. Again, not rewarding those who are good or punishing those who are bad. It's allowing the individual, you or me, to have a direct say in what is going to happen. That's what's called free will. And that's what a lot of people have a hard time getting. And most of us, interestingly enough, are not actually exercising free will to the degree that we can. We think we are. We make day-to-day decisions, but in reality, we're not really checking in with the primary thoughts and words and then actions that follow that we're putting into the experience of life. So I go into this because this morning at one of my classes, we were talking about how we can be on this amazing track of trying to get healthy and well. And we've been going at it for 5 or 6 months and everything seems to be groovy. And then all of a sudden, something could happen as silly as you step off the curb wrong and you twist your ankle. What often happens for a lot of people is their immediate reaction is, oh my God, everything I just did just went out the window because now I twisted my ankle. I can't work out. Oh, this stinks. And then the thought that'll often come with that is, why did this happen to me? And then they go into this state of being forlorn energetically, and the vibration is totally different than where they were literally just probably a few minutes ago. And the challenge in that situation, or any situation like that, where you have a lot of good stuff going on and then something happens that seems to be totally contrary to that, is to not label it as bad. That's a human conditioned, right? We've been trained to do that type of thing pretty much from the get-go. And what I mean by that is when we come onto the planet as a child sits in awe and wonder. It doesn't know words. It's not labeling anything as good or bad or anywhere in between. It's simply experiencing. So it's you can watch it in a child's face. They're just absorbing. They're going to, it's a sense of I have no words. All I can do is observe and feel energy. But again, not labeling. And then what happens is pretty darn quickly, the adults in that child's life, and understandably so, start to label. They'll go tree, car, good, bad, and immediately creating separation. Immediately creating separation for that child. It's the child and that thing out there, rather than it being a oneness experience. So that's imprinted, I guess is what I'm trying to say, from a very, very young age. And understandably so, because that's how the child creates an identity in this planet, in this realm of duality, in this three-dimensional space. It's how we navigate the waters. But as an adult, sometimes that serves us, but oftentimes it doesn't. And if we can step back and change the paradigm, right, that there's good and bad happening all the time, and I'm going to tell you what's good and I'm going to tell you what's bad, because it's based on my individual experiences and your individual experiences, right? Your thought patterns, my thought patterns. So we live on the same planet, but we're living in different worlds entirely, because it's all based around your perceptions. And often, what I'm going to say, a misconception of what life is all about, that this is this punishing or rewarding universe, when it's not. It's just expressing, it's just creating. I'm going back to that idea. And it's simply energy moving, 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 moving. It's always working on our behalf for the greatest good, the expression of life. So, returning to the idea of when something that we label as bad comes into our lives or onto our path, rather than immediately reacting, going like, oh my God, how could this happen? Why me? Or this is bad, to take a breath and step back and ask perhaps a different question. First, even before the question, to allow it to be. It's just energy moving. It's life expressing. To observe, to be a witness. And then if there are any questions that follow, it would be, what am I to learn in this? What am I to learn? What's the lesson in this? Potentially, what direction am I supposed to now move in to enhance the quality of my life? And that's a pretty big stretch. I get it for a lot of people. But I truly believe and have experienced that this is the way to allow any and all situations that come into our lives to be something that is for our greater good, to serve us, so that parts of us that have yet to be revealed become revealed. New qualities, right, that are waiting to be released and expressed on the planet. So if we can just get away from this man-made BS belief system that there's good and bad, right? There's right and wrong. There's me and you, and just come from a place that it's simply energy and life expressing. And that expression is for my greatest good. This can be a transformational concept in your life. So, reviewing, right? Taking your life and beginning with the premise that this is a friendly universe. And if you want to say that there's a friendly God, say that. And it's always working on my behalf. Whether it seems good or bad, it's always on my behalf, so that I keep growing, I keep expanding, just like the cosmos, forever in a state of expansion and growth. You can take any and all situations then, and where others might label it as a negative, be the one to say, I'm going to step back, I'm going to pause, I'm going to take some deep breaths. And rather than go into a state of negativity and reaction, saying, why me? Negatively. And say, what am I to learn here? How is this meant to change the direction of my life, whether it be through my actions, my thoughts, or my words? Because this is working on my behalf. We'll talk more about this, but I wanted to just begin this conversation, I hope. So I hope you found some value in it and maybe it makes sense in a really wonderful way, by the way, that you could practice this non-labeling experience, right? This immediate desire to put something in a box is to sit still for 3 minutes. And in that space, you can keep your eyes open if you want, but go through a sensory experience. If you start with something as simple as what you hear, notice how quickly when you hear something, you want to go, oh, that's the birds chirping. There's traffic. There's the sound of my breath. Or if you go to what you're feeling, if there's some kind of sensation, you're like, ooh, what is that? That doesn't feel normal. Or I feel that in my chest. Maybe it's even what you see, right? It could be, this is my computer. These are my clothes. I see them. Whatever it is. Step back from that and do an experience where you simply observe with the eyes of a child. And I say eyes in parentheses, meaning with ears, right? Feelings of a child. They have no labels. They're just noticing energy. So as you sit still for 3 minutes, play with this. Just listen to sounds without labeling them. Just notice them. Look at things without labeling it. It's so tough to do all of this. I know. It's a stretch. You have to kind of suspend disbelief. And any feelings that come up, just notice the energy, because that's what's happening at all times around us. It's always been this way, and it always will be this way. It's just energy moving. Release the labels and embrace the childlike awe and wonder of the experience, and trust that it's a friendly universe always working on your behalf. Have a beautiful day.